Again, continuing the Oreo Star Wars crossover, as I mentioned in a previous video. So at the bottom of the screen, there was work done by Greg Hildebrandt, and he did couplets of light side and dark side. I didn't do all of them because we've seen Luke versus Vader, we've seen Leia versus Stormtrooper, we've seen Kylo Ren versus Rey, and then I saw General Grievous C3PO, and I was like, one, this would be incredibly humorous to see. Knowing that from a dialogue perspective, Grievous would very, very much hate looking at someone like C3PO. C3PO being, of course, a protocol droid, and General Grievous having a much more fantastic background. If you actually look into his actual background, he's incredibly interesting. So let's see if these two guys were to have a fight. I will give intelligence to C3PO. If anything, the multiple forms of communication, being a human-cyborg relations, definitely does have a much wider breadth of overall intelligence, skill, and abilities. Fighting. That's General Grievous. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen C3PO pick up a weapon or do anything like that. Strength. Just look at the way the joints are set up. And look at this. That's not a lifting droid. That arm barely gets to go across full motion. Speed. C3PO would get bumped into by R2, and R2 had little treads on him. And C3PO is not designed for speed in any way, shape, or form. Invulnerability. We've seen Grievous become functionally like a walking lawnmower, and we've never really seen that when it comes to C3PO. And defensively, Grievous can actually use the lightsabers, and C3PO is not going to have anything to defend himself with. Durability. Scratch that. General Grievous isn't entirely a droid. He does have organic parts. He does that horrible cough. So I do think that if this fight were to go in any way, any form of distance, I mean, C3PO definitely has the advantage being entirely a droid, where Grievous is not entirely droid. Yes, there is no EP, there is no real versatility. X Factor. I'm going to give it to C3PO. C3PO has shown an ability to survive so many random things and just luck his way through. I do think if these two guys were to get into a battle, it's pretty much going to be Grievous carving up C3PO and being like, oh no, stop it, please, please, no, no. And then probably keeping his head and attaching it probably to something just so he can mock it. I very much can picture Grievous taking C3PO's head and then probably fashioning it somewhere into, like some port of a starship, just to occasionally just make fun of and mock him for being an entirely useless and pointless droid. But this is also C3PO, where he's survived and lucked through much larger and much impressive things. He survived the droid factory and then actually became part of a battle droid, and then was able to have his head removed and still survive because R2-D2 was there. But this was one of those I'm like, I find it humorous, and I think it would be funny to have somebody actually act this out either with Legos or stop motion. But I don't have any sort of way where I picture General Grievous losing to C3PO. I picture him probably surviving in some way, shape, or form, and it being humorous and comical. As mentioned before, these are some things that Oreo did, and it just happened to have couplets, and this is work by Greg Hildebrandt.